You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Solana, the Herons are back. Welcome to another episode of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Chris Duran, today, and alongside me is none other than Daniel Solana. Solana, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Day before T-1 to my vacation to Uruguay. Messi apparently is not injured. He only has the flu. So, I mean, it can't get any better. It's Wednesday, preview day. Can't get any better, Chris.
It can't get any better. I can't wait for the game this weekend. We had to get on today to talk a little bit about the game that's coming up on Saturday. And I want everyone to know, because there's people that were, I guess, not happy that we are not on time. Mr. Krabs saying Chris is late as usual. And Mike V, there wasn't another show today, but I was on with Todd the God a little earlier. For those of you who were watching. So yes, Vice City Lucas, I guess kind of it's Miami time. And I haven't had any dinner. I had a smoothie from Smoothie King after I got my haircut.
What'd you go with?
So no, I was with my son after getting a haircut, and there's a Smoothie King right next to the barbershop. So my son wanted a peanut butter and no sé qué cosa sort of shake, and that's what he got. And guys, I want you guys to make sure that before we start right now, I need you guys to go right here to @FreeKickPod. You guys need to go right now and subscribe, because Todd the God works hella hard on a lot of his stuff. So guys, you guys need to click down there @FreeKickPod. Look it up on Twitter. Look it up on YouTube. Look it up on any sort of platform that you have, and you guys need to go crazy and click everywhere. Okay. So, and yes, I did see Diego Gomez's goal, and yeah, man, Diego Gomez is a problem. But another problem that I want to talk about is, apparently I haven't been talking a lot of Messi, Solana, and there's some people. No, apparently I haven't, and people are upset about it. Right. So I wore the Messi shirt that you guys can find on batteredfans.com, which Danny also works hard on this along with his wife. So support the cause. Get this Go t-shirt. And specifically, I need to speak about this comment that I've seen on the YouTube chats on the channel. Joey Redeos says, will Messi return on Saturday? Oh, color me shocked. Chris, with the host, couldn't even speak one word about the title of the damn video for 1 second. The whole damn show. This guy could care less about football. Real talk. I did respond to that comment. That was on our last episode on Monday. I did respond, and I said, look, I messed up. I didn't talk a lot about Messi. There's no update. I'm not a reporter, right? And I don't have any updates. I mean, Solana, you just gave us an update, right?
Yeah. I mean, Messi's been gone for 2 months. We understand that the episode was called "Is Messi Going to Return?" or something about Messi, but we talked a little bit about what you and I thought when he was going to return, and then it was time to move on. I mean, you and I mean, I'm not sure what Mr. Rodeo wanted us to talk about. If he wanted us to put up his MRI, maybe his X-ray, and kind of analyze if, his ligament, was correctly,
aligned.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not sure. Yes. Is that what they want?
Now, I don't know. Look, we try our best to try to get as much updates as possible. And I do have to say, I do appreciate Joey, because Joey has been watching us. He watches our MLS show, because right here is another comment right here. And this is from the Battered MLS show from yesterday. And he's saying, still no mention from Messi, if Messi will possibly still play. Still more outside talk than football talk. Danny can't come any sooner. So, Joey, you're going to have your wish. Danny is coming soon, but you do understand that when the teacher's away, the kids will play, right? And then the MLS show, just so you know, Joey, I don't want to pollute it too much with Messi, especially since he's injured right now. And again, I don't have any official update on Messi. I don't know whether he's going to be playing this Saturday or not. There's a couple things that are out there that he may play or that he may not play. But for the most part, I can't be able to give heads or tails about it because I don't have any official announcement to work with. Some of the reporting behind it, I haven't seen much in terms of whether he has been asked if he's going to play, whether Tata's been asked if he's going to play. So, Joey, I'm telling you right now, the first 5 minutes so far has been dedicated to what you want, my friend. And I'm trying to give you what you want. I'm trying to give everybody what they want. Go ahead.
And I'll give you the update. Tata Martino was interviewed over the weekend or a few days ago, and he said that their expectation is for Messi to play either on Saturday or on Wednesday against Atlanta. Obviously, both you and I know, knowing Messi's injury or past in terms of his knees and the amount of games he's played, we highly doubt he's going to play Wednesday. So, Joey, this is for you. If I had to bet my house on if Messi's going to play on Saturday, I probably would. Now, is he going to start? Probably not. And you and I both have talked about this, Chris. We've talked about it in the chat, and a lot of folks have talked about it. I know that there was a report today that he wasn't at practice. Folks were worried. One of the reporters said that it could possibly be a re-injury of his ankle. All that was completely disproven. Gaston Edul, who's probably the closest person to a Messi reporter as you can get, came out and said Messi's just dealing with flu-like symptoms. He practiced on his own. So, I mean, I don't know how much of an update more than that we can give, Chris.
I want to mention a couple comments here. And Jay Smudge is mentioning this is an Inter Miami podcast, not a Messi podcast.
Boom.
This is great. Vice City Lucas says Inter Miami podcast, not Messi podcast. Although we are Inter Miami fans, and we are happy at the fact that we have one of the greatest players to play on this team, we do like to talk generally about the team, right? Inter Miami themselves. So and LB Gote adding onto that. Last time I checked this, the battered Herons, not battered Messi's ankle.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to harp too much on you, Joey, because I definitely appreciate you watching. We love the support, and we love when people are critical of us. We're not perfect, right? We want you to be critical of us, but just understand, Joey, that at this point in time, and for any of you that is also concerned about whether Messi's going to play or not, I think he's either going to play in this game or against NYCFC. I predicted that he'd be playing against NYCFC, but it doesn't make as much sense because he's going to be playing on a baseball field and not on an actual soccer pitch. So I think that his first appearance back is going to be a home game. So it's either going to be this Saturday against Philadelphia, or it's going to be 2 weeks from this Saturday against Charlotte. That's when I expect him to play, because he's not playing on turf in Atlanta, and he's not going to be playing in a baseball field in New York City.
Well, and Tommy says Messi's afraid of Atlanta, but I don't know what there's to be afraid about when you only get 2,000 fans a game.
Got him. I mean, I think they get more fans than that. I think you were talking about the league's cup.
Hey, if Tommy's gonna throw one at the battered Herons gotta hit it back at him. So
yeah. And John Paul Terrazas is saying, Chris, I don't think he will play. Or what do you guys think? Because last time Messi was injured, they did a big announcement saying he's back. Listen, Todd the God's going to join us momentarily. He mentioned something that I didn't even consider. And hopefully he sort of knows what I'm mentioning here that I didn't consider. But before I steal his thunder, I just want to go ahead and let you guys know we're going to preview the game today. And we are going to talk Inter Miami versus Philadelphia at Chase Stadium, Saturday, 7:30, guys. And we brought on none other than Todd Lewis, Todd the God from the Free Kick Pod. Todd, how's everything going, my friend?
Everything's going good. Thank you guys for having me on. And long time no shit see. I mean, I feel like, I'm seeing just you 24/7, which is not a bad thing compared to Danny. So I would much rather see you and Solana than Danny. So, the fans saying that Danny can't come quick enough, just be fortunate that you have the two better hosts here and the show's going to go downhill once Danny comes back. And so you guys have been spoiled the last couple episodes with these two guys and no Danny, and you guys are going to start unsubscribing once Danny gets back. I'm very, very certain of it. But you mentioning will Messi play, will Messi not play? I was looking at the commentators that MLS announced, and they always announce the commentators for the games. And so as the Inter Miami fans should know, they get blessed with hearing Jake Zivin and Taylor Twellman pretty much every single week. You know, if Messi's playing, those guys are down there. And so they're by far the number one commentary team by MLS. And number two would be Steve Cangelosi and Danny Higginbottom. Neither one of those commentary teams are going to be in Miami this weekend. Jake and Taylor are calling the Hell is Real derby. And then Steve Cangelosi is not even on the call with Danny Higginbottom this week. But Danny is in Florida, just not at the Inter Miami game. He's at the Orlando City game. And so, you know, I'm looking at that. They're not sending the top two commentary teams. Maybe they know something that we don't know. And maybe they know that Messi's not playing this weekend. And so MLS isn't going to send the best commentary teams if Messi's not playing. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, MLS knows something that we don't know.
That's fair point. But yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know if I'd call Taylor Twellman one of the top part of one of the top announcing teams.
Oh, MLS views him as that 100%.
Yes.
Fans might not, but MLS does.
100%. That I get, but I don't know. I'm still skeptical. I'm on the fence about him.
But now that's the thing, though, Solana. Like, I mean, whether we like it or not, they see Taylor Twellman as the top commentator in terms of the teams that get sent out to the biggest games. And whether we like it or not, he's been calling almost all the Messi games. So the fact that, I mean, Todd, you literally dropped a gem that I didn't even consider. I didn't even look into that. And the moment that you mentioned that to me, my brain just went poof, explosion, because that makes 1,000% sense. Maybe they know something that we don't know, right, Solana?
Absolutely. Now, I do have a question for Todd. Since you mentioned the English broadcasters, do you know what the Spanish broadcasting team is?
Jose Nunez is in the comments here. He put it out. Chris, I don't know if you can pull it up, but
so it's not Sammy and Diego. So because Sammy and Diego would be
right
probably
here,
their number one Spanish team.
Sadnovic and Portland dude for Spanish.
So I don't know. I mean,
so it is
that theory, right?
Look, that's the number one commentary team in Spanish is Sammy Sadnovic and Diego Valeri. And I would say, again, not to disprove what your theory is, Todd, but going, you know, devil's advocate route, seeing as they got the number one Spanish commentary team, and I would assume that the majority of folks watching Inter Miami speak Spanish.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, not trying to disprove what you're saying. That's a great theory, and you could be onto something. I just like playing devil's advocate.
For sure, and then you're absolutely right. I mean, and it's ignorant. I mean, didn't even consider that. It's like, yeah, everybody because MLS, when they put out these reports, they always put the English commentators first. So I'm like, yeah, that's all people care about. But you're absolutely right. I mean, people that watch Inter Miami games absolutely care about listening in Spanish. And that's, I mean, you have people all over the world. I'm sure you have a lot of listeners from Spain that are still checking into the games. You have fans down in Argentina watching these games, and they're not going to listen to English. They don't want to hear Jake Zivin or Taylor Twellman. So yeah, I mean, it's a fair point too that I didn't consider, but we'll see what happens.
Don't kill yourself too much, Todd. I didn't consider English or Spanish, so don't even worry about that. Like this, to be honest, I didn't even consider the announcers to play a factor in terms of whether Messi will play or not. But just looking at that little part, it plays consistent into who's going to be playing, because typically Taylor Twellman has been calling these games. Now, Tommy asked in the comment section, they picked the schedule ahead of time, right? Now, it's a week ahead of time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, a week.
Right?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, so I think if it's a week ahead of time, then maybe we'll find out who's going to be calling the game, maybe an NYCFC or an Atlanta coming this couple days. But for the most part, I don't know. I see him playing this week, if not 2 weeks from now, against Charlotte. So,
but do you guys really need him?
Well, and that's a good point right there, right? Let's talk a little bit about the game coming up. Inter Miami has been sort of on like a hot flash. I mean, looking at the last games ever since Messi hasn't played, I mean, We're talking about since the Cincy game where we got demolished, we've won 4 MLS games in a row, and it's been pretty easily against Toronto 3-1, Chicago 2-1, Cincinnati 2-0, and Chicago 4-1. So, and then that's without even counting the League's Cup, and we were performing very, very well during that time as well. I mean, Julian Gressel has found his footing. I mean, Solana, do you think that we really, need Messi at this point? Or is it good that he rests maybe?
I mean, I don't think it's good that he rests. I think if he's 100%, he's got to play. There's a big difference in practicing and actual game speed. And if he wants to be healthy and in the right physical shape to compete with Argentina in October and possibly November and get to the MLS Cup healthy and with minutes under his belt, I mean, he needs to start playing at some point. You can't just play him the last 2 or 3 games and just expect it to just all pop into place. It's just not like that in soccer. Players sit out and they need to get back in shape. So, I mean, again, if he's healthy, I think he's got to play. Whether it's 20, 30, 40 minutes, just get his legs out there, get him back in the game, get him in touching with his buddies against real competition, not against your own teammates. And I think that's the biggest key with Messi.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Todd? I mean, before you answer the question, Darklow is automatically putting up the Captain America shield, saying, so we disrespecting Messi? Wow. It's not disrespecting Messi, Darklow. We have to ask the question, right? He's been injured for the last 2 months, right? We want him to come back, obviously. Like I mentioned in the beginning, he is the greatest player of all time. I think that's like the furthest form of not being disrespectful to Messi.
He's played in half the games, Chris. He's played in half or less than half the games. It's Inter Miami sitting on top. So it's not hate. It's facts. It's facts.
It is facts. But now, and again, Darklow, I understand it's a little hyperbolic what you're saying here. So we're disrespecting Messi. We're not disrespecting Messi, but we have to ask the question, right? If he can't play, can we still do good? And the fact is, Darklow, is that we've been doing pretty well without Messi. And, people have been filling in roles and being productive on the bench and in positions where they're not normally put in. So, Todd, I guess I'll throw the question right back to you. Do we really need Messi to be able to win the game this Saturday?
No, I don't think so. I'm sure we're getting to Philadelphia here in a bit, but
yeah,
we just talked about it on my show where 13 games Messi's been missing with Inter Miami when you include MLS and League's Cup, and Inter Miami's 10-3-0. They don't need Messi. They're finding ways to win without Messi. And the last 9 MLS games, they've had 10 different goal scorers. You take out Luis Suarez, all right, they have 8 different goal scorers. They find ways to play as a team. And so, yes, Messi just gives you that much higher ceiling to dominate teams. But we've been seeing Inter Miami dominate teams without him. So it's like, yeah, you don't want to force Messi to play if he's not 100% healthy yet. And I saw one of the comments in here. It said, so you would really play Messi with 4 games left? Look, Miami, I think they would. You want a healthy Messi going into the playoffs. And so, if Inter Miami can wrap up the Supporters Shield, which I do, I saw the comment said, is that a pink shirt? Yes, it is. I'm wearing it in support of you guys winning the Supporters Shield. I don't know how you guys feel about, where it ranks against the other trophies that you can win in MLS and Leagues Cup and all that jazz. But yeah, I have Inter Miami winning the Supporters Shield. So you guys get 2 trophies in 2 years. You guys will be so happy with that. But yeah, I think, you rest Messi until he's 100% healthy. And people are saying, well, the chemistry, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't need chemistry with this team. He does not need chemistry.
Yeah. And Solana, I want to mention a couple of things. I mean, we've already talked about whether we need Messi or not. And then, of course, Darklow, don't be the baby that throws the rattle in the corner because you didn't get your cookies. Okay. Messi should just leave Inter Miami. Then nobody's going there. Darklow, keep your cookies. Okay. Or keep your bottle, keep your rattle. You're good, man. No, he shouldn't leave Inter Miami. And look, at one point I want to make here is, and Mez is saying, but Messi creates high scoring games. I mean, look, Mez, the fact is that this last game, if you looked at the scoreboard, Luis Suarez scored 2 goals with a possibility of having 3 goals. And we won 4-1. We won 3-1 against Toronto. So, Messi creates high-scoring games, yes.
Hey, Chris, 4
But
goals
there's other
against,
players. There's
4
other
goals against
players.
Chicago, 4 goals against Toronto. Let's see. 3 goals against Toronto. 3 goals against Atlanta United. 3 goals against St. Oh, that was the last game he played, St. Louis. Dude, they're scoring 2, 3, 4 goals a game. It's not like, I mean, it's, if anything, I mean, everybody's so focused on talking about Messi and when Messi's coming back, you should be focused on talking about the defense. The defense gives up 2, 3 goals a game.
Yeah, it's insane. Mike V is bottling it up very nicely here. Says, Chris, if you don't talk about Messi, you catch shit. If you talk about Messi, you catch shit. People are never happy. You're only allowed to say Messi is godlike. That's it. Again, I want to preface this by saying, I think that we all, as a fan base, as content creators, we understand the kind of magnitude that Messi has in this league, in this sport. But at the same time, guys, Mr. Krabs is saying it by the way people, Chris talked about Messi a lot. Are you happy, people? I hope that
it's
you guys
insane,
are
right?
happy.
People were complaining about that, and here we are spending half the episode so far talking about Messi. People get what they want.
I'm saying everybody else talks about Messi like 24/7. Like one show you don't talk about Messi and you catch shit.
Well, Bigote is asking when we're going to talk about Messi, but then I'm going to jump over to this comment right here because I know that Bigote is being sarcastic. When are we going to talk about the game versus Philadelphia Saturday? So let's talk a little about the game against Philadelphia on Saturday. If you can sort of just give me sort of a general update with what's been going on with Philadelphia since the last time we played you guys.
Yeah, so I mean, the Union, it's been a horrible international break for them. Prior to the international break, the Philadelphia Union went up to Harrison, New Jersey, took on the New York Red Bulls. The Red Bulls were the only team in MLS who hadn't lost prior to that game against Philadelphia at home. Union come away with a 2-0 victory with Mikel Uwa and Ty Baribo both scoring in that game. The Israeli striker Baribo has 14 goals in his last 15 games for the Union. He went away on international duty, didn't play in the first game for Israel, was supposed to start in the second game against Italy, and apparently picked up an injury in training, so they held him out. We're getting an update from Jim Curtin tomorrow about his injury status. And then Dylan John Jock, who had to exit the game with Haiti, picked up an ankle injury around the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th minute. Looked like a pretty serious injury. And, those ankle injuries can linger for a very, very long time. The Philadelphia Union need him. They need him. And he's a player that they got in August from FC Metz, who now play in League 2. We're playing in Ligue 1 in France. They got relegated. Union got him for a good price. But the Union have also sold Jose Martinez to Corinthians. Sorry, I saw a Flamingo comment there. Corinthians, Jose Martinez has been sold to, and he's been one of the best, if not the best, defensive midfielder in MLS the last couple seasons. That's a huge hole for the Union right there, missing him. Julian Kranza, I know, didn't play at the last game. The Union also sold him. The Union also sold Damian Lowe, which Damian Lowe wasn't going to make a difference in this game. The Union weren't going to re-sign him in the offseason, was going to leave on a free, but they got $200,000 from Saudi Arabia from him. And so adios to Damian Lowe. Thank you for your time. But, you were not coming back next season. So, yeah, I mean, the Union have moved on from a couple pieces and brought in Sam Adeniran from St. Louis FC, who's not found the back of the net yet for the Union. I think his last goal in MLS came back in March. So it's been a minute since he scored. And if Ty Baribo can't go this weekend, we talked about it on our show, Chris, I went with Sam Adeniran, but I said, actually, the Union started Quinn Sullivan with Mikel Uwa the last time these two teams played. And Jim Curtin plays Quinn Sullivan out of position a lot of times, playing him up top. But that tells me right there that Jim Curtin doesn't trust the other forwards on the roster. And Chris Donovan and Marcus Anderson and Sam Adeniran, who his contract's up after the end of the season. He's playing for a new contract with Philadelphia, or there was rumors when he was at St. Louis, will he go to Europe? There was teams in Europe interested in him. So, it's vital for him to get game time, and game time has been hard to come by. I asked Jim Curtin a few weeks ago, will we see more of those opportunities for Sam Given? And he said, yeah, we will, because Union were playing a game every 3 days with Leagues Cup, and that's just not enough time for new players to train and get acclimated with how their team wants to play. And so, yeah, Jim Curtin said that's the reason why Adeniran wasn't playing. Now where you have one game a week, you can get those training sessions and learn your teammates how they want to play a lot more easy than you would when they're basically just going out there resting and recovering than another game. So yeah, a lot of players gone now from the Union that were here previously. I know Jose Martinez didn't play against Inter Miami because he was away with Venezuela for Copa America. Julian Kranza was in the process of getting sold. So yeah, neither one of those players are going to be here like they weren't last game. And then Daniel Gazdag, I think I saw a comment in here. And Daniel Gazdag got injured against New York Red Bulls in the 60th, 61st minute. And
before you keep talking, Gus with the comment of the day, is Gazdag still injured? Will he play? You have no chance without him. And then Mitch says Gazdag is the only guy I care about on Philly. Is he still hurt? But wait,
Yeah,
before you mention anything, Solana, I felt like you had a comment at some point when Todd was talking.
I did, but it was already picked up in the comments there. I wanted to ask him what was the update on Gazdag. So we had gotten the update on everybody else.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to finish with. Daniel Gazdag picked up a small injury, like Jose says here, and Alejandro Bedoya. That is right. Jim Curtin said it was a planned substitution to go 45 minutes against Red Bull. Wound up going 50 minutes in that game. They played Bedoya because he can speak French. Just that's the only language Danley Jean-Jacques can speak. And so that's why Jim Curtin went with Alejandro Bedoya, so somebody can communicate. But then it did look like Bedoya picked up a small injury. Gazdag picked up an injury, it looked like, against New York Red Bulls. Got caught up with the Hungarian national team, and Gazdag couldn't go because of that injury. So we'll get all these updates from Jim Curtin tomorrow. But somebody said without Gazdag, you have no chance. I mean, I would argue. I mean, Andre Blake, honestly. No, Andre Blake. Andre Blake will play, but look at that horrible run that the Union were on. I mean, we talked about it on our show, Chris. You guys just got done beating Chicago 4-1. Union were beating Chicago back on July 3rd, 3-1. And the Union wound up losing to Chicago 4-3 because Oliver Zemla, a terrible goalkeeper, is not good commanding his box, not comfortable collecting the ball on corner kicks, and yeah, absolutely sold that game for the Union. So I think with Andre Blake, the Union have any chance. But if you're not having Ty Berube in this game, if you're not having Danley Jean-Jacques, then it becomes very, very difficult for the Union. But Andre Blake's always going to give you a chance to at least get a point.
And Solana, I don't know if you had any comments that you wanted to make, but I just wanted to bring this up just really quickly. Hamza's asking, do you guys talk any about other sports? Jose Nunez said battered Union. We haven't written up the contract just yet, Jose, but we'll get there. We do talk about other sports, Hamza. We do have a battered network. We have the battered Heat fans, the battered, if you like American football, we have battered Dolphins, battered Jets fans. If you like baseball, we have the battered Marlins. I believe we have the battered Yankees. We got a lot of channels. So just check out the battered network and you'll be able to sort of find all of that stuff.
I just saw one of these comments that said Todd's going to need a super sub in for the team at this rate.
Yes.
Look, I got back to training for soccer because the Philadelphia Union, I know other teams around the league have media games. And so it's like, I'm trying to get back into soccer shape. I know I'm leaving it way too late, but my hamstrings, after 2 days of just doing sprints up and down, I can run fine distance, but if those quick sprints, I can't do it anymore, dude. My hamstrings are done. I'm on the IR. I've suffered with concussions. That's why I had to give up playing soccer. And now the hamstrings are done at 28 years old. Man, the Union don't want me.
You didn't hit 30 yet? It all falls apart at 30. So I'm scared to see what's going to happen in 2 years, Todd.
Me too.
I was playing basketball yesterday, and I felt like I almost crumbled, but I still played because I don't care. Calypso TV, shout out to Calypso, and he's asking he's basically putting in quotes, who is injured for Philly? And then the response should just be yes.
Everyone.
Yeah, everybody. So, and Mitch mentioning a really big comment here, Bills and Dolphins tomorrow with the eyes open emoji. Yes, if you guys like American football, Dolphins are going to be playing tomorrow, and check out the Battered Dolphins Fans podcast. And then Mike V, Battered Sausage. We don't have that channel just yet. Find it on OnlyFans at some point in the future.
Chris, you're going to mention Messi?
Well, I'll mention this. Mez is asking why I was hating earlier and says Messi will play until 40. I guess I'll mention something at the end about Messi, but for now we'll stick with what we're talking about. And Mr. Krabs is saying when Chris plays basketball, his name is Patrick Kuboing. Is that what you were laughing at, Solana? That was good. That was good. And Circus Fun, no, I play actual basketball, not on Wii or on Xbox. And if you want the business, you let me know, and I'll meet you any park in Miami, Florida. Trust me, you can get it.
Ooh.
Now, yeah, I got no problems with that. So, and Vice City Lucas is asking, where can I find the Batter Messi channel, or is this it? No, we have a separate channel for Messi. We have a separate channel for Messi. Okay. So the Philly game that's coming up, I've always told Danny, and I've always mentioned it to Solana too, that Philly as an opponent always sort of scares me. They're a very organized organization, very sort of from the roots in terms of like being able to make something out of nothing in terms of the players that they have. And it scares me because you guys play very well. Like, you guys have been consistently a pretty good franchise. And for people to sort of dismiss you guys as a team, I mean, right now you guys are you guys are 8th, I think, in the standings, or no, 11th in the standings.
11th.
But you guys are only 2 points behind DC United at the 9th spot. I feel like you guys can be able to sort of make that stretch. Go ahead, Solana.
I was gonna say, I mean, you're making good points, Chris, but Todd spoke about it earlier. They have like 3/4 of their team is injured, and most of them are their top guys. If you're missing Baribo, who's one of your top forwards, you're missing Gazdak, who's your top scorer. That basically in the last 3 years, he's become the top scorer in the club. You're gonna miss possibly Badoy, who's one of your leaders in the midfield. You miss the other gentleman that came from FC Metz, and there you go. I mean, that's most of your top guys right there. So while they are technically still competing in the hunt, they're becoming unhealthy at a very critical point in the season, which is not what you want to see from your team.
Yeah, I mean, Ty Baribo, 14 goals in the last 15 games. I mean, this is a guy who was getting no game time when Julian Kranzo was here, and fans are saying, man, if he was this good, why didn't we play him with Julian Kranzo? But Jim Curtin wasn't happy with his training habits, and so he wasn't given any opportunities. Had spare moments, 5 minutes here and there, but Jim Curtin wanted him to train better in practice. And once Julian gets sold, well, it's like you have no other choice but to play this guy. And I spoke about it earlier, where Cavin Sullivan, who doesn't fit in the Union's 4-4-2 diamond formation at all. He's more of a winger. That's how he came up through the system. And he's too talented to not give a contract to. And so the Union see him best as an 8 in the 4-4-2 diamond formation. But again, it goes to Jim Curtin. He hasn't said this, but he doesn't have to say it, in my opinion. If you're playing a guy at a position as a striker, when you have 3 other strikers on the bench, that tells you how you feel about those other strikers, and especially Sam Adeniran. And I know, and we'll see if he does get given game time. Jim Curtin said, they played so many games during the week with Leagues Cup, so not enough time to practice. And if Cavin Sullivan does get ahead of all these guys because Ty Baribo can't go, I mean, that's a big F you to the strikers, right? And so if you don't have Baribo, I don't think you have any chance, because where else are the goals coming from? Yes, I know you said Daniel Gazdag, but then he's going to get doubled more. There's going to be more pressure on him, and those goals are going to dry up. And I saw a comment, I think, from Mr. Krabs talking about how he's the Union's leading goal scorer, and he's only been here for 3-4 seasons. Well, a lot of those are penalty kicks. So let's look at some more context.
Now, I want to mention this because Mez mentioned a pretty good comment. They have a 14-year-old. So Cavin Sullivan, is there a possibility that he's going to be able to play? I mean, that's got to be like floating because he's underage. So what is it? Is there a certain amount of minutes that he's allowed to play? Go ahead, Solana.
He's lucky I'm not going to be in town, because I'd probably take him to King of Diamonds or something and get him in trouble on Friday night. That way he wouldn't be able to be available on Saturday. But I wanted to start off the show by saying, why do we want to talk about Messi so much? Let's talk about Cavin Sullivan. Cavin Sullivan. Yeah. I mean, he's the new wonderkind of the league, signing a deal with Manchester City. When is he going to get minutes? When is he going to get real minutes?
I mean, look, Bigote's saying, I got the solution. Listen, Cavin, 90 minutes.
Yeah, so Ernst Tanner, the union sporting director. Uh, so this is crazy. So one of the comments, and we're gonna go on a tangent. I'm sorry, Inter Miami fans. Context matters, and for the Philly fans in here, they know exactly why I keep saying context matters. But Edison said the union ownership just runs it back with the same squad they don't like to spend, and he's absolutely right. And union fans were upset with the union's run during the summertime. Andre Blake missing is a big part of why the Union kept blowing leads and losing games. But it got so bad that the Union said, you know what, we're going to have a town hall with the fans. And so the Union had a town hall with Jay Sugarman, the principal owner of the Philadelphia Union, Richie Leibovich, who's a minority owner, Tim McDermott, who's big up in the club, president of the club. You have Ernst Tanner, who's a sporting director. Jim Curtin was there. And I think there was everybody there at the town hall. And so the Union had a ton of people show up to this town hall voicing their frustration. And that whole conversation was because Union aren't spending enough money, and people are using Inter Miami as an example, LAFC. And so the Union fans were really, really upset with ownership for running the squad back, not bringing in new players.
Yeah.
And so one of the questions that was asked was, why isn't Cavin Sullivan playing enough? And Ernst Tanner basically said, because he's 14 years old. And he said next season we should see Cavin get more of an opportunity. But yeah, I mean, the kid's 14. I mean, him going up against Busquets could play with one leg and body Cavin Sullivan. So it's like, yes, I know people probably want to see that. That would be a great marketing tool for MLS. I know one of the writers here in Philadelphia who writes for the Philadelphia Inquirer tried to pitch it to the newspaper and said, hey, look, send me down to Inter Miami because Messi might play against Cavin Sullivan, and that would be a huge story, which it would.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a 14-year-old. Let's relax a little bit.
You think Messi would carry him like he carried Lamine Yamal? Maybe just to bless him?
For sure. For sure. But don't you think, I mean, look, when the Union took on Inter Miami during League's Cup last year, it was insane. And I'm sure you guys have seen this at the stadium. After the games, you have so many players coming up to Messi, wanting his jersey, wanting pictures taken. Before the game, I mean, it felt like the whole Union squad was taking pictures with Messi. So maybe Cavin would be the same way, just get starstruck. But the kid's done well with all the publicity that he's been getting, all the starlight that he's been giving because of how talented he is for a 14-year-old. And like you said, Solana, going to Manchester City at the age of 18, which is no small feat. I mean, the Union got $5 million for this kid when he didn't play a single minute at the professional level. That's insane. But that tells you how good that Manchester City, how good the Union believe that he could be. And I don't think he's going to play at all this weekend. But from a marketing standpoint, yeah, I think that would be what MLS would love.
That's great that he got $5 million and that Philadelphia Union could only get $200,000 from the Saudis when they're literally the Saudis just have an open bank to everybody. Anybody come, we're going to pay you millions. Damian Lowe, $200K. That's so messed up.
That's
somebody said he's Cavin getting paid. Yeah, half $500,000. Insane for a 14-year-old.
Yeah, it is. It's really wild, man. And good morning to Mohamed Farul. Listen, good morning to you, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with us here on the podcast. And Ebi Gotes mentioning here it's the Messi effect, but Cavin effect. Players will be baffled that he's 14. I do feel like there is if he was to play, I feel like there would be a level of respect from the players of Inter Miami to be able to recognize the sort of skill set that he has to be able to sort of compete, I guess, against, Inter Miami. I mean, I would think that people like Busquets and Alba and Suarez would definitely show a little bit of respect towards it. I mean, he's a kid. He's a kid. I thought that he'd be able to play like, I don't know, 20 minutes. I mean, I don't know if he's like allotted a certain amount of minutes per year or if he's like allotted a certain amount of minutes in terms of like training on a weekly basis.
So
it's kind of a weird place.
So what happens with that is, Jim Curtin spoke about this a little bit too. He's already had his 4 call-ups with the team, and yes, he's on a homegrown deal and everything, but playing anymore is going to change his roster designation. Jose Nunez, I'm sure, is still in here. He's a god with the CBA, so he will be able to let people know in the comment section a little bit better. But essentially, the Union have him in a spot in their roster designation where they don't want to mess it up. where he's already played his 4 games max. Well, he's played 1 game, but he's been called up 4 times, and so they don't want that roster designation to get messed with. But if you're, from a marketing standpoint, then why not? Why not? Have a lot of eyes. Cavin Sullivan, a 14-year-old against the greatest player to ever play the game, and Lionel Messi would be interesting.
Now, you guys, just looking at some of the history here, you've won 3 out of the last 4 matches. But before that, after the New England game when you won, you've had a lot of ties, a lot of losses. I mean, you guys are sort of picking it up at the right time. I have a question, just from your perspective. Do you feel like the Philadelphia Union would be able to make the 9th seed or the 8th seed? Because my opinion is, I do think that you guys can be able to make it to the 8th or 9th seed. Especially, I do see here, I think you guys have a game in hand. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we have a game in hand against DC United. So you mentioned they're in 9th place on 2 points. We still play against against Orlando. Again, we play against everybody we're chasing. Orlando City, we still have a game against. DC United, we have a game against. Atlanta United, New York City. So we talked about this last night on the MLS Battered show, where Battered Fan show, where the good thing for the Union, you asked me what games am I going to pay attention to last weekend, what games am I going to pay attention to this weekend? It's every single team that's ahead of the Union in the table. I'm going to be scoreboard watching.
Yeah.
And the good thing is the Union have opportunities to pick up points against these teams because they still have games against them. So I don't know. I mean, if Ty Baribo isn't seriously hurt, if Danley John Jock's not seriously hurt, I said after the New York Red Bulls game that the Union will get into the playoffs. The best I could see them being is a 7 seed, which, okay, that means you're playing majority of your games on the road, but the Union have been a really good road team this season. I believe in all competitions, they're back to 500. They have the 2nd most goals scored in MLS this season on the road with 26. So, I mean, the Union going on the road doesn't scare me, and it doesn't scare the players at all. I mean, Jim Curtin says that they play with a little bit more freedom because the pressure is not there. They've been horrible at Subaru Park this season with 7 losses. But, man, I mean, if you're missing key players for any extended period of time, I have a hard time believing that the Union get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think about it, Solana, but I still think that they can be able to make it, especially when they got a lot of 6-point swings coming up in their schedule.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest games that they've got left on their schedule in terms of head-to-heads would be DC United, Atlanta United, and Orlando City. Those are the 3 biggest games. But then looking ahead, I mean, they've also got 2 tough games. The last 2 games are against Columbus and Cincinnati. So at that point, obviously, you have to see, based on where the seedings are Columbus and Cincinnati going to take those games seriously, or are they going to already be locked into 2, 3, in the East like they are today? And does that mean that you can pick up some extra points? But obviously, the 3 key games in the Philadelphia's season are DC United, Atlanta, and Orlando. If you can pick up those 9 points, then you should definitely make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jillian Almany, who I saw was in the comment section, she asked Jim Curtin a couple of weeks ago. Jim Curtin, all the time, every single year, talks about setting goals for the team, how many wins they need in X amount of games. And Jim Curtin said they need 5 wins in the last 9 games. Well, they got the win against New York Red Bulls. And so, like you said, you need a win against DC United. You need a win against Atlanta. Jim Curtin said you actually need to win your remaining home games. So they have DC United, Atlanta, and then Cincinnati. Cincinnati, Jim Curtin brought up a good point where they might not be playing for anything at that last game of the season. So they might just rotate guys and whatnot. And so the Union may be able to get 3 points a cheap way. But Orlando City, you got to get a win there. If not, you got to at least get a point. And then New York City, too. I mean, the Union got to get a point there, at least in my opinion, or win, because that Orlando City game, as you mentioned, going to be huge for the Union.
I want to ask this question. This is a little offbeat, but very good question by Mike V. What positions are the Union looking to fill for next year? This is very futuristic in terms of the question, but I mean, is there a good answer for this?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about my show too, and I feel pretty bad when the season's still going on, but that's how bad things have been for the Union. Union fans aren't used to watching them be out of a playoff spot this late into the season. But you go and look at, a lot of players out of contracts. A lot of players have option years. The Union have Leon Flock out of contract. He's been filling in for Jose Martinez as a 6, can play on the left side of the diamond. He's talked about wanting to go back home to Germany. So you could potentially have to replace him. I don't believe Danley John Jock's a 6 on this roster. He's more of an 8. So that means you have to go out and get a defensive midfielder, because I don't believe they currently have that guy. Jesus Bueno, I know, has been filling in there too, but he's more of an 8 than a 6 for this team. So I would say definitely a defensive midfielder. The center back partnership, you sold Damian Lowe, so you're already going out getting one center back. Jacob Glesnes, Jack Elliott. There was some reports out there that, there was some interest in Jack Elliott before the window closed, but the Union opted to sell Damian Lowe instead of Jack Elliott. Jack Elliott has an option for 2025. I do believe the Union will pick that up, but I was talking to Jose Nunez about this early in the week, where look at a team like San Diego. They're coming into the league next year, brand new teams. And so for fans not familiar, brand new teams get to draft players from teams. Teams have to protect 12 players, and then San Diego, they have a choice to pick 5 players, I believe it is, from all team total and all teams in MLS that's not protected, and add them to the roster. I could potentially see Jack Elliott getting traded to San Diego. He's making close to $900,000 this season for the Union. I could see San Diego saying, "Hey, look, sell us Jack Elliott. We'll give you a massive pay bump up to $1 million for Jack Elliott." I could potentially see that. So center backs, defensive midfielders. I would argue probably one more midfielder and then a striker. Sam Adeniran out of contract. You didn't replace Julian Kranza. Yeah, I guess technically bringing in Sam Adeniran, but striker, defensive midfielder, and 1 or 2 more center backs.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Go ahead, Solana.
No, I was gonna say, if you guys, I don't know, how Philadelphia feels about the Ukrainian community, but we've got a Ukrainian down here who doesn't play too much, and I'm sure we'd be willing to trade him. If
look, we took your Deadwood and Damian Lowe. I mean, isn't that enough hurt for Union fans?
No, well, you also got Julian Carranza, who ended up, working out for you. So fair enough. We're even. Time for Inter Miami to get one up.
Trade over Sergei Kristov over and get the one up there. Now we're gonna turn this show into the battered Rojas, I guess, because Upcode is asking any update on Rojas. Mez is asking what's happening with Rojas. Is Rojas injured? A lot of people that are asking a lot about Rojas. Rojas suffered, I think it was a left ankle sprain. There hasn't been any update. Recently, Inter Miami has been very hush-hush when it comes to these injuries. They're typically hush-hush for the whole season. But lately, it's been even greater how much hush-hush they've been. So Vice City Lucas is mentioning Rojas rumored for early October comeback. And Scott Carey is saying 6 weeks probably. So we'll have to see. Now, one question I want to get to, Todd, before we go ahead and talk about predictions, I guess, and this is a weird question to ask, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. All these injuries and players that are not going to be playing, who's the one guy that you can say that we should be a little nervous about that can be able to have a pretty good impact this Saturday?
Andre Blake. I mean, yes, I saw a comment that somebody said David Ruiz scored with Honduras against Andre Blake during the international break, which is true. But I mean, it's not a day difference when the Union were throwing out Andrew Rick and Oliver Zemla. No offense to either one of those guys, but they're not Andre Blake. And so you have Andre Blake in there, you're always going to have a chance at least at a point. So yeah, I would say Andre Blake's a difference maker. You can look at Mikel Uhr, who scored against you guys last time out in June. Fans have been upset with him just because he's been so inconsistent. Highest paid player on the club, highest transfer fee paid, $2.8 million, which is insane. I'm sure to Inter Miami fans hearing $2.8 million is the highest transfer fee paid ever. Yeah, that's the highest that the Union have ever paid. But, I said on my show last episode that I could see him scoring 5 goals in his last 7 games. So I look at Mikel Uhr needing a big game, and then Andre Blake's always going to give you a big game.
I mean, Andre Blake seems like a fairly good person to be concerned about, right, Solana?
Yeah, I think it's a safe choice to go at, especially seeing, how depleted their roster is going to be going into Saturday's game. Obviously, Inter Miami has found themselves in that position too, and they've had to rely on Drake Callender many times. So obviously, I think Todd's pick is the safe pick, but I think it's the right pick because again, with the depleted roster, who at the end of the day is going to be the one to save you or be the MVP? Most likely your goalkeeper.
Yep.
I mean, I guess at this point, there's really nothing else to kind of go over other than predictions. Now, Todd left me in suspense at the end of his show. Guys, and if you haven't checked out the Free Kick Pod, please check it out. Go on it right now. Like and subscribe. Do what you got to do over there. And make sure you watch the episode that I was on as well. Go ahead.
You don't even have to pay attention to the show. Just listen to Todd's voice.
Yes.
By the way,
absolutely.
Rest in peace, George Earl Jones. Rest in peace. But if there's anybody else who I would want, doing my audio books, it's Todd. Just like the fan said it in the chat.
Yes. Phenomenal. Let's do predictions. I did prediction. I mentioned on Todd's show that I think Inter Miami is going to be winning 3-2 because that's considering that Philly does put goals up. We've been consistently putting goals as well. So I feel like this is going to be a lot closer than people expect. Guys, in the chat, chime in. Let us know what you guys think is going to be the score line. I guess in the meantime, while you guys are cooking in the chat, that's 3-2 for me. What about you, Solana? What do you think is going to be? What do you think is going to be? And it's James Earl Jones. Yes, Mr. Krause.
Yeah, I know. I'm still thinking about Messi over here. I messed it up.
Sorry.
I thought George. I don't know why. I think it's going to be 3-1. I think it's going to be another Suarez brace to put him hopefully in a tie with Christian Benteke for the Golden Boot. And just like somebody in the chat said, I think it could be a Robert Taylor game. I think Robert Taylor might find some minutes, down one of the flanks, and we could see a Robert Taylor banger, like we've seen time and time again. So
I'm gonna bet it.
I think it's going to be 3-1.
I'm going to bet it for sure. And I'm going to jinx him probably, but I'm still going to make the bet. I don't care what any of you guys say. I am a delinquent. I'll probably put Luis Suarez as the first goal scorer, Robert Taylor at some point in the game, and we win. So those are our predictions. And Todd, the God, what's your prediction?
5-1 into Miami, Robert Taylor hat trick.
Oh,
now I'm going 3-1, but I do think Robert Taylor scores in this game. Somebody mentioned Jordi Alba. Yeah, I do think Alba scores in this game as well, and Luis Suarez will also score in this game. 3-1 for the Union. Penalty. The Union are going to go on a penalty kick. Daniel Gazdag will convert that,
and it's going to be from a Toto red card, according to Abigote, which I definitely see happening. Ed Bigote, you are on the money with this, and if I were you, I'd bet the house on it, and you'll probably be able to buy another house. So there's our predictions. M is saying 3-0. I mean, you guys were firing off in the chat. You guys are fucking amazing.
We even got a 7-2 with 4 goals from Campana.
I saw that. That was insane.
Yeah, Mike D saying Campana 4 goals. But Campana, I mean, look, hopefully that happens. Listen, if there's anyone on this team that I want to have success other than Robert Taylor, it is Campana, because I do feel that he is skilled enough and that he's good, man, that he can be able to get this. But like, first, I need to see consistency. And second, I need to see him do what strikers do, which is put themselves in situations where they can score and take advantage. So, I mean, is that far-fetched to ask for, Solana?
I mean, I think we've seen Campana many times this season, and he's had his opportunity to, show that he can do that, and he just hasn't. I mean, he's come up, big in a couple moments this season, but overall, I think for the contract that he holds, for what he gets paid, and for what he's expected to do, he's been, average to below average at best.
Yeah. I mean, Mitch is saying, brother, what weed is that person smoking? Campana is cooked. Listen,
look, I think the Union would take him. Like, you guys gave us Julian Crowns. I think if they wanted to trade Campana, the Union would definitely be calling up Chris Henderson.
You got to take Christoph with him, though. If not, you can't have him.
Listen, Danny and I have discussed this, and Danny more so than I have. It's been mentioned that Campana, really, if you put him in in a lot of the other teams, probably like 12 or 13 other teams, as a starting striker, he would find success and teams would be willing to build around him. The problem is that here, ever since he's came onto the team, he's literally been a shadow behind Gonzalo Higuain, behind Luis Suarez, and Messi.
And Joseph Martinez.
And then before that, when Gonzalo Higuain was here, he didn't link up well with Pozuelo. So many things that were happening within his career with Inter Miami, which I thought that it would be amazing because he'd be able to learn from all of these great players. But unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to pan out consistently. So we got Mo Farul saying Campana get a lot of minutes in Atlanta, in my opinion. Maybe. Mez is finally saying something other than Messi. Campana. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, he is the GOAT. Danny makes fun of me because my son has a jersey with Campana's number and name on it. And Danny, you can go eat a bag for sure. So, I mean, Mitch is also following up saying Maz is sending Christoph on a free transfer back to Ukraine.
Yeah, back to the fronts. That's poor guy.
I mean, look, Christoph, I think he would be great in Nashville. He'd be the perfect anchor in Nashville because speed is not needed.
No chance. He wouldn't know what to do down Broadway. He would have no idea what to do down Broadway. Christoph would be good maybe for Minnesota United where there's not much to do. Maybe even in Columbus or Cincinnati. That's where he'd be good.
Before we end the show, I feel like we haven't talked enough Messi. So Mitch is asking earlier, let's talk about what breakfast cereal we think Messi eats. So before we end the show, I want to ask you, Solana, first, what kind of cereal do you think Messi eats for breakfast? And guys, if you guys want to chime in the chat, let us know what cereal you think he eats. What?
I think he eats Zucaritas.
Zucaritas, what is that?
That's basically Frosted Flakes, but the Spanish, like the Latin American version.
Zucaritas. Okay, so like Frosted Flakes. All right, okay. All right, I'll take that. I'll tell you what I think he eats. I think that he eats cornflakes. No sugar, just basic ass cornflakes. That's what I think he eats. Either that or he looks like a Raisin Brands kind of guy. He doesn't look like he eats like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or like Cocoa Krispies or Cocoa Pebbles. He's not that kind of guy. What kind of cereal do you think he eats, Todd the God?
Wheaties with some kind of fruit.
Wheaties? Wheaties? You think? I mean, that's cliche for an athlete to eat Wheaties.
Look, the key question is, does he put milk in his cereal or does he eat it dry?
Dry.
Yeah, he looks like a dry eater. He definitely looks like a dry eater. I don't think he uses milk.
I agree. I don't either. I actually eat my cereal with yogurt, which is, I guess, is kind of weird. But I just don't like milk.
You eat your cereal with yogurt?
Yeah, I get some honey bunches of oats, almond.
Oh no, but that sounds great.
Bro.
Yogurt with honey bunches of oats. That actually sounds pretty good. And then Mez is actually pointing something out, probably when he saw him shopping at Publix, that his kids eats those sugar cereals.
Yeah, I was going to say we need Mez to go break into Messi's house and just watch him from a window or something and report back because guy's been 1-1 for Messi tonight.
Well, I can confirm. I can confirm that Messi eats pavlovas. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's a Venezuelan dessert. It's like a merengue on the bottom, and it's got dulce de leche. It's got some strawberries on it and stuff. I can definitely tell you he eats that because he ordered it from my wife's friend, and she went and delivered it to his house. So I know he eats that.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
I just noticed something the whole show, and we didn't talk about it. Is that a Squirtle behind you, Solana?
Yeah, man.
Nice, I love it.
He presented it at the beginning of the show. I'm surprised you didn't see it.
I didn't. No, I didn't. I can't believe I missed that. Now we got to get you guys to get a Pokemon. Somebody get a Bulbasaur. Got Charmander, Squirtle. Get a Pikachu.
I have one, and now it's too late. I can't do this. It's almost an hour. I wish I would have. I wish I would have remembered what you were gonna do. So, and I
I
know
feel
you
so
warned
bad that
me.
I missed that.
Yeah, no, it's a gem.
I mentioned it to Chris on Monday.
Yeah, he did. He
I'm
did.
glad you finally caught it, Todd.
Yeah, it was being covered by the Atletico Madrid scarf, so it's a running joke on my show. I had them showed on one of them, and somebody's like, "Oh my God, it's Charmander!" So I'm like, "We're gonna leave Charmander in there." So I'm glad I did catch it before we went off air.
Yeah. And Scott is mentioning here, we miss Danny. Don't worry, Scott. He'll be here in due time. But until then, you guys are just going to have to deal with us. And then El Bigote is saying yogurt is milk Solana. And then Mitch is calling you out. That's basically granola Solana. You're That's cheating.
I guess I'm a cheater then. What can I say?
And Mr. Krabs, Danny can't come back sooner. Okay.
He's canceled. I mean, listen to all his wrong hot takes. Nobody agrees with that guy.
I do know what Pokemon is, Mr. Krabs. My son has packs of cards. I didn't like Pokemon when I was growing up, but my son has packs of cards here, and I do have a Pikachu, and I have one of those dragon ones. I'll bring it. I'll bring it somewhere. I'll bring it on the next one. I've never messed around with Pokemon, but I mean, look, it is. Hold on, Mitch
It's
is
never
saying
too late.
most underrated Pokemon. Pidgeotto? What? Pidgeotto?
Yeah. Pidgeotto.
Oh my God, this is even worse, Mr. Krabs. Dragon Ball Z? I'd rather do Pokemon than Dragon Ball Z. Hold on. Lamo? I'm a Lamo? How about let's play Slam? Let's play with the Slam and the Slam.
Oh, you want to play Pogs, baby? Let's play
I'll
Pogs.
play Pogs. I got
Pogs.
Slammers for days. AZ Rebellion. Chris isn't cultured. You
Dude,
know
you're
what?
Getting cooked.
We're gonna end the show with this.
It's not a culture thing; it's an age thing. You and I, Chris, are a little older. We played with different things. Pokemon wasn't huge when we were, young back in the day. So I mean, I can't take credit for this. This is my son's, so I can't take credit for it.
There was kids that had Pokemon cards, but I didn't do all that. Like I picked up basketball cards, baseball cards, football cards. I mean, Mitch, what? I'm not 80 years old playing marbles. Okay, I didn't do that.
Don't lie, Chris. You didn't pick up a basketball. You looked at those kids with the Pokemon cards and you bullied them. Be honest.
Thank you guys so much for listening on audio. Much appreciated. Those of you that are listening on audio on Spotify, iTunes, your Napster, your whatever thing. Okay, much appreciated. Put in the comments, Danny, I hate you. And for those of you that were chilling in the chat with us, so much appreciation goes to you guys. You guys are the fucking best. You guys really interacted very well. And you know what? Before I close the show, I'll hold on, Todd. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Man, people don't want to follow me, but if you want to,
yes, they do, and they will.
You can follow on social media at Free Kick Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, personal at It's a Todd's Life. Check out the podcast, The Free Kick, YouTube channel, youtube.com/Free Kick Pod, where I do goals breakdown videos, started going live. The comment section has me dead right now. Best part about the show. My writing or just everything in one place, thefreekick.substack.com.
Guys, right here, I put it in the comments. And it's right here at Free Kick Pod. Look for it everywhere that you can on YouTube, on Twitter, on all that stuff. And again, guys, chat, you guys were simply amazing on today's episode. It was really fun. Usually for previews for shows, it's not as fun as like post games and stuff like that. But you guys were amazing. And Pace Hunter saying, Todd the Master, listen, much respect to you guys. And thank you, John, for subbing. Much appreciated. Guys, for those of you that are hanging out, click that like button. It's free 99, costs you nothing, and it helps us grow, helps you guys grow, helps us grow the channel, and helps us grow this community, which is probably my favorite thing about doing this show. Solana, any last words before we go?
Actually, I only have one last word. I'm actually really pissed off that Inter Miami sold Diego Gomez 1 month earlier, because had they waited till today to sell him, they probably could have sold him for 10 million more after that goal yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are facts on top of facts. I also have one word before we go ahead and close the show out. Messi. Until the next one, have a good one.